Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And we're taking a look at the Clank in Space expansion, Apocalypse, by Renegade and Direwolf.
Apocalypse is the first expansion to Clank in Space, which is one of my favorite deck builders. It's an awesome game, and it adds a couple different things. It adds some new modules to the board. It adds some new cards in the deck. And the biggest thing it adds is new scheme cards, which weren't in the base game.
So the scheme cards are kind of tied to, I guess, the new bad guy. This robot has a name. It's like Erraticus or something, and he is trying to pull off various schemes. And as the black cubes get drawn, that's his progress on this evil scheme thing he's trying to do. Mm-hmm. But what they really do is there's three different effects. So first of all, when you draw black cubes from the bag, they used to just be nothing. But now they advance these things. There's three different levels. Once you fill up the different levels, however many cubes need to be on there, that there's an effect that happens. It's usually bad things, and they usually get worse as those different levels progress. But you also have a way where you can remove those cubes from the scheme card so long as they haven't completed a level. Once it completes a level and that effect happens, you can't undo that effect, so to speak. And those cubes that you get, you can spend from various places on the boards and various cards and stuff to do good things for you.
And each of those schemes are thematic. So, like, one of them's toxigenic and it's all about spending things, or one of them is all about attack. And so the way you remove cubes is you attack, and the way that the bad things that happen have to do with having to have attack, or it has to do with get rid of cards. So all of that ties together with the thematics, and so the way you get rid of the black cubes also changes per scheme. So it's not like, all right, well, this scheme is the exact same, but this happens instead. It's no, like, these are the things that happen. This is how you buy black cubes. These are the bad things that happen if it fills all the way up. So there is a little bit of variation between the different schemes, and there's also different levels of schemes. There's 1, 2, and 3 that come in the box. The level 1s are really basic. Like, if you haven't played this game a lot and you want to just like test it out and see, you can play a level 1. But after that first game, like, I've actually never played a level 1. You told me about that.
I played a level 1 once and then decided I'm never going to do it again. Ultimately, if it's your first time playing the game, you can include Apocalypse in the base game and like never really separate it, because you could play with a level 1 scheme and it doesn't really do much. Mm-hmm. Right? It doesn't really affect the game all that much. You kind of forget it's there. Level 2 is affected a little bit more. Level 3 brings it almost to like nightmare mode. Makes it really hard. So that is, I guess, one of my main complaints, is that while they attempted to put a scale on it, and the scale is there, it's kind of like a bump. It's like level 1, level 2, level 3.
And that's kind of it that the expansion adds. And I don't want to say that like it doesn't really add that much, because you do get 2 new module boards, which is 4 new modules in the game. You get cool new cards in the deck. Some of them interact with the scheme. Some of them are just cool new cards to have. And you do get a whole handful of scheme cards. So if you like Clank in Space, like, I would definitely pick this up, because I agree. I probably would never play without the scheme cards again. Like, there's no reason to play this once you have this, unless maybe someone hasn't played any of the Clanks before, and in which case you maybe want to start them with just regular Clank. If you don't have regular Clank, start them with Clank in Space. That's perfectly fine. If they've played any Clank before, though, like, I wouldn't like say, okay, we'll go to Clank, then Clank in Space, then Clank in Space Apocalypse. Like, you could really go straight from like Clank to a level 2 scheme in this game without much problem at all.
I have pretty much no complaints about this expansion, with the exception of the fact that the level 1s are, non-existent for me. They give you a lot of schemes. There's a lot of variability, but for me, there's too fewer, because I don't really count the level 1s. I mean, maybe, but I'm rarely ever going to play with them. But I don't really like the fact, I guess maybe, that you can't just have the cards mixed in, because some of them affect the scheme. That's like, if I don't want to play with it, I have to pull those cards out. It would be really cool. I mean, I guess then the schemes are in effect a little bit less, but it would be really nice if there were just new cards that I can just mix into the deck, and they're always in there. So I just have a bigger deck.
And depending on how fickle you want to get with that, because you could totally leave the deck the way it is, and if a card came out and you look at the card and say, okay, this card has something that you spend cubes to do. So if that card comes out, say, okay, this can only work with the expansion, so just discard it and draw a new one. So like, if you're okay dealing with that minor annoyance, you could leave them all together. So it's up to you. Do you want to, during cleanup, separate the cards out that you can't use, or during game, like, fiddle with it then. But I see what you're saying. But, I mean, that's not a complaint to me because I like that there are cards that interact with the new stuff. If it was just brand new cards, my complaint would be like, there's new cards that have nothing to do with the new stuff it adds. So,
I mean, you're only saying that because these cards do have to do. I mean, the scheme itself is a thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think if there was no cards that had to do with the black cubes, you wouldn't be like, oh, none of the cards have to do with the black cube. Just because you see them now, you know what I mean?
I can't undo that knowledge.
You can't, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If it was just the board that affected the cubes, or just static abilities that you could spend cubes on or something, then yeah, you could have cards that just mix into the deck, and they're always in there. And I'm really saying this just kind of like trying
Looking
to pull.
for a complaint?
Yeah, because I mean, really, I have like almost no complaints with this expansion. The only thing is that I have to separate it a bit every once in a while. You know?
Yeah, the only other complaint I would really have is the new little monster boss you get. One, like, it's kind of boring. It's just like a robot with big spiky arms. But also, we've now seen 3 different copies of this between our friends and ourselves. And every single one, his little arms are broken. So, like, maybe that's the thing. It's not a big deal at all.
It's
just like, pop some super glue there.
That shape is prone to getting damaged in shipping.
Yeah.
Those things have like a thin point, and this part, it's just laying flat. So those parts in general are like prone to getting smacked around. You know.
Again, like one little dab of super glue, and you never have to worry about it again.
However, I feel like in like later printings, they could probably fix that by cutting it slightly differently. You know.
Or if it really bothers you, I'm sure you could contact Renegade. They're really good with their customer service. The only reason I didn't is because I was like, so this got damaged in shipping. So you're going to ship me a new one that will probably also be damaged in shipping. So I didn't even worry about it because you don't really do anything with this other than move up a tracker. So I don't care if there's a little crack in it. But because we're looking for complaints, that's the one that I have.
Well, if any of what we were talking about sounds interesting to you guys, we're going to have a purchase link to Clank and Space as well as the expansion in the description box down below. If you don't have either of them, just get both.
And if you haven't seen our thoughts on Clank and Space, like, we'll have a card popping up or a link down below to watch that because we really do love this game and you should really hear our whole thoughts on that because we didn't talk about the gameplay at all because the gameplay is pretty much the same.
And we also have our thoughts on regular Clank, too.
Yeah.
We've got a whole channel. I don't know if you know that.
And the Clank expansions. So
it's just so many videos.
Watch all the videos. Regardless, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. Quick side note, these scheme cards sleeve perfectly with the tiny epic sleeves that go for the big cards and tiny epic.
Mayday. From Mayday.
Yeah, so if you're a sleever, those work perfect.